Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another Division 2 build video. So in today's video, I just wanted to quickly showcase one of my best solo PVE builds that you can use for this current season. Because honestly, this setup is ridiculous in the best way possible. The damage output is incredible. All those crit damage stacks you're getting from the tipping scales gear set really add up fast. Plus, the survivability isn't that bad at all. You know, there's a good amount of survivability and you can play it at a safe distance for the most part if that's more of your playstyle. So guys, let's not waste any more time and get started. So guys, this tipping scale setup is a powerhouse. Combine it with the blue screen LMG and Centurion Scabbard and you've got incredible synergy. You're basically getting anywhere from 300 to over 500% critical hit damage, more or less depending on whether or not you have the chest piece equipped, because the vest actually gives you more stacks. And the blue screen basically disorients NPCs periodically, so this adds some crowd control, which can be a big help when running on higher difficulties, right? So you get the disruptor rounds talent. And with the addition of the Centurion holster, you're getting a few different buffs that will ultimately increase your overall DPS. But guys, what I love the most about the Centurion holster is that when you swap between your primary and secondary weapon, not only will your magazine get refilled, so you basically never have to reload, but you also get a 50% mag size bonus. So for anyone here who's new, this holster basically grants you DPS buffs when you weapon swap. The first swap gives you a 20% rate of fire and weapon damage bonus, and if you swap again, you'll get a 50% magazine size and reload speed bonus. The bonuses will remain active for 12 seconds or until you swap again. So that's great because there's no cooldown, right? Now for the vest, a tipping scales vest with armor, weapon handling, and a critical hit chance mod. Oh, and I know most of you guys already know this, but if you're new, just remember that all gear sets, unlike high-end brand sets, come with only one minor attribute, okay? So again, I have weapon handling for the minor attribute and a critical hit chance mod. And for the mask, another tipping scales piece with, again, armor, weapon handling, and a critical hit chance mod. And for the backpack, the named backbone piece, which is a Langmo brand. But what makes this bag special is that it comes with the perfectly unstoppable force talent. And so you're getting 7% weapon damage per stack instead of the original 5%. But I'm going to show you guys some great alternatives to choose from, depending on your playstyle or personal preference. For the gloves, the third piece of tipping scales with armor and weapon handling. Then for the knee pads, the fourth piece with armor and headshot damage. But ideally you want either weapon handling or crits rolled here instead of headshot damage. I'm just settling with the headshot damage for now. But let's say you don't have the Centurion holster, which I believe is in the general loot pool if I'm not mistaken. So if that's the case, then you can totally farm for it in Countdown or wherever holsters drop as targeted loot. But correct me if I'm wrong because I'm honestly not 100% sure. But as far as holster alternatives, if you would like to add more damage, then you can go with the Picaro's holster. The Picaro's holster will add a nice 10% weapon damage increase, or you can go with Seska or Grupo for the crits if you don't have Picaro's. But the Picaro's holster is super easy to get, plus you can craft it if you have the blueprint. I don't remember how I got the blueprint, but I think you can get it from completing level 3 or 4 control points. Now, if you want to have more survivability with this setup, which I would actually recommend if you're somewhat of a beginner, then you can go with 2 pieces of Bellstone, and for the backpack talent, Bloodsucker works great. And with 2 pieces of Bellstone, you get 1% armor regeneration, as well as a 10% armor on kill bonus, which isn't much, but this will stack with the 10% you get from the gunner set. The gunner specialization, sorry. You get a 10% armor on kill bonus from the gunner skill tree. But if you don't care about the armor on kill bonus, you can mix it up and just run Picaro's for the 10% weapon damage increase. Now, if you have the Liquid Engineer backpack, then I would go with that if I were you. That would be more ideal. Because for those who don't know, the Liquid Engineer backpack comes with the perfect Bloodsucker talent. So you'll be getting slightly more bonus armor. But the damage should still be decent without Unstoppable Force. Now, as far as weapon alternatives, if anyone here doesn't have the blue screen, then you can try either the Stoner or the GR9. But the blue screen should be in the general loot pool, so it can essentially drop anywhere. But with the blue screen, remember I told you that you get the Disruptor Rounds talent? And so this talent basically allows you to mark enemies and either disorient or disrupt them depending on how many stacks you've accumulated. So this is basically crowd control, which is the main benefit of the blue screen besides its high base damage and large magazine size. Now I'm sure many of you guys already know this, but LMGs will benefit the most from the tipping scales gear set. You get both a nice 30% increased mag size and weapon damage for having 3 pieces, right? Then for the 4th piece, you get the throttle control talent. So this talent is very similar to Umbra. Firing your weapon will build stacks that max out at 50. And each stack provides 0.5% weapon handling and 4% critical hit damage. But if you have the vest, max stacks get increased to 75, and that's a little over 500% added critical hit damage at full stacks, so it can get pretty crazy. But you will lose stacks when you stop firing your weapon, so like 6 stacks per second. However, no stacks are lost if an enemy is suppressed. So if you suppress an enemy when they're in cover, you won't lose any stacks, which is pretty cool. Now for the global modifiers, I'm using Zealot for the active. Zealot is pretty crazy. This modifier basically turns you into Superman, like dead ass. It's crazy. So basically, upon activation, you will gain 20 stacks of Zealot. Each stack will grant you weapon damage and damage reduction based on whatever value you see at this table below. So since I'm at level 5, which is the max level, I get 5% weapon damage per stack and about 10% damage reduction. But you'll need to level it up for these max values. Now Zealot is great, but there's a caveat to it. So upon reaching 0 stacks, a damaging EMP explosion will trigger at your location, leaving you at 1 health. But for each enemy hit by the explosion, you will recover armor and health based on these values. So again, these are the max values, and you'll need to have it leveled to 5. Now for the passive modifiers, I'm running Stepping Stone. So headshot kills on assault enemies will grant you hollow point ammo, which amplifies your weapon damage by 20% and applies bleed on hit. Then Compromised. So basically, while you're in cover, your headshot damage against snipers increases by 100%. But what's even better is that if you hit a sniper while you're in cover, it will actually force them out. This is nice because sometimes I swear the NPC snipers like to fuck with you. You know, they'll just sit in cover for a while and pop out, but as soon as you hit them, they go right back into cover. So by having this modifier equipped, once you hit them, you won't have to worry about that. But for the 3rd passive modifier, I went with Batter Up. I figured this would be a great option for the Grenadiers in Legendary Strongholds since they like to spam, but if you're farming open world activities, you can go with something else. But for anyone new, this modifier basically auto-destroys grenades within 5 meters of you. And while it's on cooldown, your grenade radius increases, so that makes it the perfect time to spam your own nades. Now for the skills, I'm using the Fortified Smart Cover and Banshee Pulse, which you get from the Gunner skill tree, but feel free to use whatever you'd prefer. Now one last thing I wanted to mention is that you don't have to go with Armor Core for all of your pieces if you decide to run Bloodsucker or the Liquid Engineer backpack. Especially the Liquid Engineer backpack, because if you can manage to keep the Bloodsucker stacks up, then you should have plenty of bonus armor to compensate. So it's a nice way to balance things out if you want to go with more core weapon damage, right? But anyway, this is Prajna. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you guys think about this setup. Like, I'm sure you guys have similar setups, but I'm curious. But if you have any questions, you already know the vibes, leave them down in the comment section. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing if you enjoy this type of content. And to the channel members, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. You guys are amazing. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and see you in the next video. Bye. Mwah.